They say a man who walks alone is a man without direction. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if the man who doesn't need anyone is the only one who truly knows where he's going? Because in a world built on dependency, emotional, social, and digital, the man who stands on his own becomes the ultimate threat. Society has always depended on conformity. From the time you're born, you're taught to belong, to fit in, to follow the crowd, to chase approval. But when a man stops chasing that approval, he becomes unpredictable. He doesn't play by the same rules anymore. He can't be guilt, bribed, or socially manipulated. He doesn't need applause to act, and that makes him dangerous. Society functions best when people need something, validation, attention, or belonging. It can sell you products, beliefs, and even emotions. But the man who needs nothing from it, he breaks the system. Nietzsche called this man the Übermensch, the higher man, who transcends the herd. He said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. And that's the truth most people can't handle. A man who doesn't crave attention commands it. A man who walks alone draws curiosity. And a man who doesn't fear solitude becomes the rarest kind of powerful. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Loneliness is a state of lack, the pain of not having connection. Solitude is the opposite, the power of being complete without it. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. Despite ruling one of the most powerful empires in history, he wrote nightly reflections to himself in what became meditations. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's solitude, not isolation, but inner independence. Loneliness says, I need someone to fill my emptiness. Solitude says, I am whole already. This difference is everything. It's what separates the man who collapses when left alone from the man who evolves in silence. Why is a man who enjoys solitude so intimidating? Because he's harder to control. A man who doesn't need constant validation can't be emotionally blackmailed. He's not chasing approval, so public opinion doesn't cage him. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control, when your sense of power comes from within, not from others. Most people live the opposite way, their mood depends on likes, attention, or acceptance. But a man with inner control acts, speaks, and thinks freely. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't react, he chooses. And that kind of man makes others uneasy. Not because he's dangerous to them, but because he reminds them of what they could be if they had the courage to stand alone. Every night, Marcus Aurelius performed a ritual. He would reflect on the day, on his actions, thoughts, and emotions. He asked himself, what did I do well? What could I have done better? Did I let emotions cloud my reason? This simple practice, daily self-examination, was the emperor's anchor in a chaotic world. He ruled armies and empires, yet his greatest kingdom was his own mind. By mastering his thoughts each night, he remained untouchable during the day. That's the Stoic way, not to suppress emotion, but to command it. When you spend time alone with your thoughts, without distraction, you start to understand who you truly are. And once you understand yourself, you can't be easily influenced by anyone else. Nietzsche believed that morality shouldn't be borrowed, it should be created. He said, he who cannot command himself will always be a slave. The man who depends on society to tell him what's right or wrong never discovers his own truth. Nietzsche's method was radical: question everything. Tear down borrowed beliefs. Build your own values from experience, pain, and reflection. That's what makes a man dangerous, not aggression, but independence of thought. Because once you think for yourself, no ideology, no trend, no system can own you. The modern world wants obedient consumers, not thinkers. It wants dependent men, not self-reliant ones. And Nietzsche's philosophy is the antidote. He teaches you to burn down false identities and rebuild from within. If you want to master solitude without falling into isolation, you need 4 things: purpose, discipline, reflection, and connection on your terms. Solitude without purpose becomes despair. You must have a mission, something bigger than your comfort. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your purpose gives meaning to the silence. Discipline is next. Solitude tests your habits. No one's watching, so integrity becomes your mirror. Build daily structure, reading, reflection, training, creation. Discipline turns loneliness into growth. Then comes reflection. Without it, solitude becomes noise. Use your time alone to question, what am I becoming? What do I value? What must I let go of? That's how you evolve consciously, like Marcus Aurelius did nightly. And finally, connection. True independence isn't rejecting people, it's choosing them wisely. The independent man values connection, but doesn't depend on it. He gives love freely, not desperately. He helps others not for approval, but because it aligns with his principles. Here's the paradox: the man who doesn't chase people ends up attracting the best ones. Confidence rooted in self-sufficiency radiates calm. He's not needy, not reactive, not pretending. When you no longer depend on attention, your energy changes. You speak slower, move with intention, and make decisions from clarity, not fear. That calm confidence is magnetic because it's rare. Everyone senses it, friends, colleagues, women. It's the energy of someone who can walk away at any time, not out of arrogance, but strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do. Only what you do. That's real power." So why does society label independent men as cold, arrogant, or lonely? Because independence exposes dependency. Your strength threatens the comfort of those who live through others' opinions. When you refuse to follow trends, they'll call you outdated. When you speak your truth calmly, they'll say you're emotionless. When you choose solitude over chaos, they'll say you're antisocial. But all of that is projection. They're not describing you, they're describing what they fear in themselves. Nietzsche warned, "The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly." So keep soaring. Becoming emotionally self-sufficient doesn't mean rejecting emotion, it means mastering it. Observe, don't react. When emotion rises, pause. See it like a wave passing through you. Don't drown, surf it. Detach from external praise. Whether they cheer or criticize, remain steady. Don't let others define your worth. Know your solitude rituals: reading, journaling, training, meditating. These aren't escapes, they're anchors. Face discomfort intentionally. Spend time in silence, without your phone, without distraction. At first, it'll feel painful, that's your mind detoxing. Because in solitude, all masks fall off, and what's left is who you really are. The man who doesn't need anyone isn't cold, he's complete. He still loves deeply, but he doesn't beg for it. He still connects, but he doesn't cling. He still gives, but he doesn't lose himself doing it. He has mastered the art of standing alone, and that makes him impossible to control. Marcus Aurelius mastered his mind. Nietzsche mastered his will. You can master both. Because in the end, when you stop needing others for validation, when you stop begging for permission to exist, when you find peace in your own company, you don't disappear from society, you rise above it. And that's why the man who doesn't need anyone is society's greatest threat. Solitude isn't a prison. It's your training ground for freedom.